right. Bryce was supposed to be on vacation, but wild and crazy things happened overnight for the Angels. Kind of figured we would just talk about it. I don't know. This wasn't supposed to happen. Really, this wasn't in our plans. We didn't. Wherever this has ended up being, it wasn't really in our plans.
No.
Between him being in the middle of a move and then him going on vacation, being out here, we didn't really. This was just more spur of the moment and circumstantial. But we're here because two things happened overnight. One, Ohtani was pulled off the trade market, and about an hour and a half or so later, they acquired Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez from the Chicago White Sox for two prospects in the Angel system. So let's start from what started first, and that was Tom Verducci's article saying he pulled Ohtani off the market. He went into it. I think there was a lot going on, and let's just start with your thoughts.
It's not surprising. I mean, you and I have been saying for months and months and months, ever since the initial stuff started going, the stuff started circulating about Shohei, his impending free agency and how this was all going to go. And you and I have been saying for months, particularly from the beginning, there was never any indication the Angels were going to be willing to trade Shohei. There's still not even any indications that Shohei is looking to leave. And so, it would have taken, the Angels would have had to come out of the All-Star break and just falling flat on their face. And look, that Astros series right out of the break wasn't great, but ever since then, everything since then has been very good. Even their losses could very easily have been wins. And even the losses against the Astros weren't that big of losses. This is a team that's looking very competitive, a team that looks like it could compete in the playoffs. And I wasn't surprised to see that they didn't pull them off, especially after how they had played. I was a little bit, we'll get more obviously to the discussion, but I was a little bit more surprised about the trade that they made, but it was good. I thought it was a good move, particularly since it's the best move you can make. But again, we'll get to that in a sec. But Shohei, and I think keeping Shohei, a lot of what came out as that came along, I think there's a lot of good that can come out of it, and I think I wouldn't be 100% surprised. I think there's gonna be a lot of people who, if they're listening to this and they're just kind of coming in, from the
wherever,
they don't understand this podcast or whatever. I honestly wouldn't be 100% surprised to see Shohei in an Angels uniform next year and for several years to come. It would not be that far of a call to make to say he wants to stay.
Yeah, there's so much. I think there's a lot to unpack, and I don't know if we're gonna see it. There's so much. It really kind of, and then like this morning where Perry was like, where he said he never directly told Ohtani he wasn't gonna trade him, which again I'm like, that's probably for the best. Like, not saying it, but I don't think there ever really was a shot. In that same Tom Verducci article, they were saying like no prospect. They were off. They didn't really want prospects, which again makes sense, but no team was willing to give up anything other than that. And it sort of goes back to what and this goes back to the Giolito trade too. Prospects are just lotto tickets. Most of the time they're not going to hit 9 times out of 10. And even in recent times, especially with bigger players, they don't really hit ever. I made a tweet.
And it's a crapshoot. Like look at who we got last year. Mickey Moniak. and look at what he's become this season.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're, the Angels traded for that guy, and the talk around the league was, why are the Angels going after Moniak? Oh, he's been horrible ever since he got drafted. Like, he just did not produce in Philly. And now it's looking like he could be a potential future leader of the team.
Yeah.
And a future central point to that offense. I mean, he's already a central point to the offense, but like a regular central point to that offense. And so it's like, why would you trade Ohtani for even if the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Padres or whoever had come out and said, look, we're going to give you our top 3 prospects and then some rotation guy to make up for Ohtani's bat or whatever. You would have said, but these top 3 prospects could end up not performing for us. Moniak didn't perform in Philly. There was a reason they were so willing to give him up. He wasn't going to perform. Yeah. And I think if Moniak had stayed in Philly, he's not going to have had the season that he had this year with the Angels. No. And I'm not trying to make this about Moniak. This is about Shohei, but it's saying, like, even if you had gotten those top 3 guys that seem like surefire things, you don't know how that's going to turn out for them in an Angels uniform. And Perry has shown he's very good at identifying what prospects he wants. So it was clear that he didn't get blown away by anything.
Yeah, I think what's fascinating is if there is like if one the perception switched literally overnight before and after the trade. Before it was sort of like, all right, well, what are you going to do about it? And then the instant the trade happened, it was, oh, dang, they're not kidding about this, are they? Because it was the first time that we've seen that Artie the biggest kicker in all of this was Artie went over the luxury tax threshold with acquiring Giolito. He hadn't shown any willingness to do that before at all. It's why you only get, like, we've kind of like been in up and down with guys, but this was the first time he's actually gone over the luxury tax threshold. Not the first hit matters, but we haven't seen that from him.
Well, and here's my thinking is, I really honestly think Ohtani, I think there's a good chance he still wants to, like, he's already in his mind still thinking about staying in LA beyond, or in Anaheim, beyond this year. But everything has been measured because he wants to make sure Artie knows he can go.
No, maybe
you're gonna lose this incredible opportunity, and Artie, and so he's trying to leverage Artie into making moves that he needs to make.
But how good of a bargaining chip is that, to just be like, even if his mind's made up, but the notion that, hey, I don't have to stay is in play. If that's what it takes for him to finally be like, all right, let's go. And I love one report was like, he was forcing Manassian to go get pitching. And I'm like, if Artie's forcing Perry to get pitching, I think that speaks more of, I would say that probably speaks more of Perry than it does Artie. But it sort of seemed like the deal was in the works prior to this, to them pulling him off from what it was a very interesting move Tuesday night. I'm going to butcher his name, but one of the prospects who was in the deal did get pulled from the game Tuesday night. So I think looking back on that, it might have been, they thought the deal was going to happen then. So they had to pull him. They were going to pull him just in case. So, but that happened last night.
Yeah, no, and I mean,
these things,
And I mean, like, it's just funny because, like, people I think have this view of Perry as not able to convince Artie of his vision or whatever it is. But I think honestly, like, Artie constantly is shooting down all these ideas that Perry, if Perry was given the green light on almost everything, he'd be going after these kinds of moves on a regular basis. Maybe not necessarily trading the farm constantly. He's kind of forced to do that. But I think, in terms of free agent signings in the offseason, if Perry had the option, he would have already been getting these kinds of players, trying to dip into this kind of market. But he didn't have it. But Ohtani gave him that ability.
Like I said, maybe
Ohtani's the one who's coming in and saying, "Hey, look, Perry should be allowed to trade for somebody
maybe
who's going to help us go to the playoffs."
You know, maybe it is that simple, that there is just that little bit of leverage of it, where it's just like, hey, we're striking now while the iron's hot. Because I think too, that window where we saw the team healthy, they're a playoff team, and this little push, you know, hopefully is enough. And I wrote about it in June because I contemplated, it's like, do I write about it? I'm probably gonna pass writing on it, one, because I kind of wrote about Giolito coming to the Angels and how it's already a decent enough hit back in June. ERA wise, whip wise, he's the second best pitcher in that rotation. And hilariously, weirdly now, if you look at the rotation post trade, it goes Ohtani, Giolito, Sandoval, Griffin Canning, Tyler Anderson. That's not that bad. It flows a lot better. I probably missed a guy. I think I didn't.
Our starting rotation's been actually pretty decent this year. Our bullpen hasn't been great. I mean, don't get me wrong, Anderson hasn't been strong. And, you know, there's been spotty starts from the others, but they've been, most games, I feel like, at the very least since the All-Star break, they've kept us in games. It's been the bullpen that's kind of been coming in and going, we don't remember how to pitch.
But it's like,
I'm wrong, but
I mean, I don't know. But it's like,
just the eye, what the eye tells me.
But the whole thing is the rotation's in a better spot now.
No, yeah, and then that's the thing, is like bringing in a guy like Giolito is going to help the, you know, you're going to be able to bring this guy in and say, all right, go out and,
because now you can, like,
let's go out and throw them out, you know, kind of.
Yeah, because like, now you're in a better spot with, you know, with Seth, if you know, with Chase Seth, if you want to have him be this, because now he's officially your sixth guy. He's no longer like a swing guy or anything. You can solidify the sixth spot now, because now you essentially now have 5 guys that are somewhat solid. You have a solid 1 in Ohtani, a solid 2 in Giolito, Canning's your 3, Sandoval's your 4, Anderson, wait, Ohtani's 1, Giolito 2, Sandoval 3, Sandoval, Canning 3, Canning, Sandoval 4, Anderson 5, Seth 6. That's not that bad. If you want to go out and get another like low end guy for something, you can. The guy who pitched game 1, Lorenzen, is an option. I don't think they're necessarily going to go out and get another guy, but if they want to, you know, you can get another back end guy like that. But right now you're in a spot where, hey, it's a solid 1-2. If that was your big move, it's a big move.
Yeah.
But we're still far enough out to where if things do go south, you could theoretically flip Giolito again. I don't think they are. Because with all the guys you're getting back in the next handful of weeks, they were saying, Hoppy's probably 2-3 weeks away. Drury's coming back soon. Trout's coming back soon. Those are 3 guys that make this lineup deeper. But again, this is the 27th, 28th, depending on when this goes up. You got until Tuesday, and a lot can happen in 3-4 days. 5 tomorrow, today. In 5-6 days.
Look, Fangraphs is giving us, I think, a 15% chance of making the playoffs right now.
The schedule in the back half is disgusting. It's really
it's going
to
be tough. Yeah, but if we go out and we continue to play good baseball against Toronto, I would be much remiss to say that I really would think that the Angels could go and just continue to win series.
Yep.
Toronto's going to be, I think, a real benchmark for this year. If the Angels come out against Toronto and are putting, it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to put up 6 runs against Detroit, and a bunch of runs against the Pirates or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you could put up a bunch of runs against Toronto and hold them to, less than 2 or 3 runs a game, you're going to give this team a good chance to win. And if you can, like, let's say, I'm not saying they will, but let's say they sweep Toronto or at least take 2 out of 3 or whatever. But if they swept Toronto or took 2 out of 3 and were close in that third game, I'd be looking at this team and going, I don't think there's a team in the league that we can't at least compete with. And honestly, one of the bigger pickups I think that's really helped all this, I made this point in the podcast this past week. Moustakas has been huge for this clubhouse. Everything that everybody wanted Walsh to be in the clubhouse in terms of him being like, everybody was talking about how he's like this glue and this important, whatever. It's Moustakas has been that and more, because he comes in with this playoff experience and he's going like this team's in playoff mode, and they're saying, all right, we're going, and I think he's able to kind of keep them driven and keep them focused, and knowing what that takes in that clubhouse. If the Angels, at the end of this year, I think Moustakas' contract will be up. If the Angels,
I have no idea.
I think so.
I don't know if he has 1 year or like he might have like another year. I really don't know. No, he's got a couple years left.
No, he's through the 2024.
I thought he had another year on his deal.
Yeah, so he's through 2024.
And we're not paying anything for it, so yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, he's. Oh wait, no. It says he is a unrestricted free agent in 2024.
Oh, you have an option?
No. He's just an unrestricted free agent. So no, prior to the 2020 season, he signed a 4-year contract. So 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Right.
So this is his last year.
No, it says, free agent.
But I would be, despite his age, I would be wholly on board with signing him to a 2-3 year deal, few million a year or whatever. I don't know what it is. Whatever he's willing to take. And like, obviously I don't want to sell out the team for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's the most important piece we ever need, but I'm saying, if you want this to, like, especially if you can get Ohtani back, keep bringing in a guy like Moustakas, who he's won a World Series. And by all intents and purposes, I think he wants to play in Southern California.
I mean, so like looking ahead to Toronto, tomorrow it's Giolito Gossman. Saturday it's Detmers Manoah, and then Sunday it's Tyler Anderson and Jose Barrios. So it's going to be a difficult series, to say the least, for him, at least trying to win 2 out of 3. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
If they swept them, that'd be huge. Then all of a sudden everybody would be like, ooh, maybe this Angels team can make the playoffs.
Yeah. And you're looking at, and 2 of the 3 games are prime time or out on bigger networks. Sunday they're on Peacock, and Friday tomorrow they're on Apple. So we'll see. The flip side of the Giolito signing was they DFA'd Walsh and they bumped Joyce to the 60-day DL. The Joyce to 60-day DL really doesn't change anything. That's just a roster move. He still plans to come back sometime in August. The DFA of Walsh was interesting. I get it.
It makes sense. I mean, sucks, but he wasn't performing, and I don't know. I honestly wouldn't be. I mean, maybe you'll disagree with me on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he clears waivers.
I wouldn't be either. I wonder.
He's not in a position right now. He's a project, and I think the Angels are willing to say, okay, if you clear waivers, we're keeping you in AAA until we feel like you are absolutely. Because right now they're kind of stacked at first. I mean, Cabbage is playing pretty good first base. You got Moustakas.
They're
once you get some of your guys back, you've got like plenty of infielders.
Yeah, so. Luckily for them, they're in a spot where if he clears waivers and he just is like, hey, I want to stay, I'm comfortable here. The whole thing was, as weird as it sounds, there really wasn't a rush to get him to like have to figure it out, quote unquote. He could take his time, and I think that leans more into the whole thing of we're not going to rush you back up here regardless. I mean, like the bottom of the league, because it's reverse orders, like the bottom of the league, could someone take him? Maybe. I mean, like looking, like I said, reverse orders. Like reverse order, like the Royals, maybe. There you go. Oakland, like I said, maybe Oakland, Kansas City might take a flyer on him. Colorado, yeah. I may like. There's a lot of like the teams like reversing order up until the Pittsburgh. Like maybe they take a shot on him. St. Louis, they have their first baseman. Detroit has their first baseman. The Mets are a mess. Like if you're looking like I said, the reversing of the order, maybe the bottom teams take a flyer on him. But it's like you said, are you really wanting to take the flyer on him? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would be very surprised to see him get caught up on waiver or get caught, during waivers.
Now during like a trade, maybe like, so I think I've seen people say like, you could always flip a bad contract. Like, if you're thinking about it, big brain plays, we kind of wrap this thing up and we're thinking about trades. You can kind of like NBA trade it. I don't mean to like, when I say NBA trade it, I think of NBA trades a lot of times with like how like you see like bad contracts for bad contracts and stuff. Like, like could that stuff happen? Yeah, it could. I don't. Do I foresee it? No, because this isn't the NBA where we see like these weird like bad contract deals for bad contract deals that end up being amnestied anyway. That doesn't really happen in baseball, but it's possible where someone will take a Walsh for somebody, or someone takes. I know one of the more popular theories is like maybe you trade Renfroe for a couple of pieces because you got Moniak who can kind of handle it. Maybe get Moniak, and when Adele comes back, you kind of make them a platoon in right field because, Moniak can at least handle one side of it. Like, there's a little bit more of there's still flexibility here. If they want to, quote unquote, sell a little bit, they can still do that. There are still pieces that they can just sell off, but it's more of a, probably they're feeling it out a little bit more in the market. But right now it is a seller's market. And the flip side of that, and we can end with your thoughts. Flip side of that, Giolito going to Angels hurts the Dodgers a heck of a lot. They desperately are looking for starting pitching. That takes him off the market there. That is huge. And the Dodgers 2 trades haven't been that exciting. Not that this is anything about the Dodgers, but I just want to make the point that Bieber going down with an injury sucks. So now you're looking at guys in the starting market that's already very low. Verlander, who's gonna have a high price. Scherzer, who's gonna have a high price. Flaherty, if you want to take a risk on him, he's probably available. But if you're looking for pitching right now, Giolito's off the market. That is the biggest name on this market, and I don't know what's gonna happen the next 5 days.
No, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the fact that they were able to get this, because like whether or not he was necessarily the best talent on the market is questionable, but he was definitely the best value on the market. There's nobody else on the market that you could trade, your top catching prospect and one of your top pitching prospects for starting pitcher and a reliever. So it's like
Hold on. Hold on. Breaking news. This just in. Tucker Davidson designated for assignment. That shocks nobody, but I wanted to bring that up that Tucker Davidson got DFA'd. So both pieces that came back in the Iglesias trade. Jesse Chavez got DFA'd right away. Went back to Atlanta. Did well. Davidson was didn't do much for him. He got DFA'd. So we took the L on that trade. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Ended up with Estevez, so I think ultimately we came out in a good spot. But no, but yeah. Anyway, so I think, and ultimately, you get these two pitchers. You get it'll be interesting to see what else the Angels do. I keep hearing, not necessarily in terms of like, oh, this is gonna go down sort of thing, but as like an idea for that people keep floating for the Angels as possibly the Angels going after Goldschmidt. To try to really strengthen that order and have this, when Trout comes back, you have this really strong 1 through 4 where it's like you could come right out of the gates every game and just be like, you aren't going to let us just get away. Like, you're going to have this team that can put up these big numbers. And you already have this team that, by all means, like a lot of people I think would have looked at this team at the beginning of the year and been like, this team is going to be hitting 6 runs a game. Like, is going to be getting, the offense is going to be clicking and going good. So it's like, and then the other great thing about all this is this time last year, we were sellers.
Mm-hmm.
This time this year, we actually have reason to be buyers. This season's a lot more interesting to watch. Is it maybe just delaying the inevitable doom that will come?
Maybe, but we can deal with that later.
But we get to keep Shohei for the rest of the season, and I'm happy about that. So.
More stuff sort of pouring in. This isn't anything related, but it's just from Shohei Ohtani via Sam Blum of The Athletic on, do I still say Twitter? Do I have to say X? Whatever, it's Twitter until further notice. I'm probably still going to call it Twitter anyway. From via Sam Blum of The Athletic from the beginning. Just
start getting all his stuff off of Threads.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So this is from Shohei Ohtani via, I'm going to keep saying it, via Sam Blum at The Athletic. From the beginning, my plan was to finish the season with the Angels. Nothing's really going to change mentally, but all the people talking about the trades, that's going to be all gone. I feel like I'll just focus on this team to the playoffs. I think this is the first time in my 6 years we've been buyers. We've been sellers the last 5 times, so this is new to me. I just want to get to know the new guys and welcome in and compete all together. There you go. Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. No. By the way, Sam Blum does not post on Threads. He hasn't done so in 3 weeks. But
I don't think the whole thing is. I don't think anyone.
Everybody posted on it for a second and then got off of it.
I don't think anyone really knows what to do with the X. It's like, do I just post everything there? I mean, I'm on there. I don't have like a public account, but I have my private one, and I just post nonsense.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything in a while either, but I feel like if things started to gel over on Threads, that'd be a worthwhile thing. But anyways, that's all this is for. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see how this season ends. And I really do think that there's a good chance that Shohei really does want to get back. And I think that a lot of people think Shohei is just like win above all else. I don't think people understand that he does have loyalty to the game. That if he leaves, it won't be a willy-nilly, oh, well, the Angels suck, so I'm going to go here. Yeah. It would be more of a, I don't really love this, but I need to do what's best for my career.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I guess there's more. This is I guess the last sort of quote, because there's, like I said, we're in between games. The game just ended, so we're in between games. We're doing this, but just sort of more quotes from Ohtani himself. In a season, this is from Jeff Fletcher of the Orange County Register. In a season, I really didn't think about the long-term stuff. Just focus on the season, every game that's in front of me. Obviously, I want to be with the Angels my whole career. I love the fans. I love the team. No complaints. I just want to finish the season strong for the fans and everyone that is cheering for me. I don't think, like I said, I don't think this says much of anything. Clearly, if there's one thing like all players do, it's like you're like, of course they want. I don't think most players want to like flip teams every so often. If he wants to say he's gonna stay, like, hey, say at this point, say the right things at the very least. I know Ohtani's doing that, whether he wants to stay or not. Let's worry about 2024 and 2020 in 2024 right now. Get to the postseason and throw it at the end of the day. And I'll end with this. At the end of the day, there will be very few fans, very few personalities, and very few people who know baseball and know sports in general that will get mad at a team for saying screw it and push everything to center and say let's just go for it. Because the worst thing you're better off. And I mean, hell, the Lakers did this year and it worked. Is retooling and letting it ride and seeing what happens. And they got to they restructured their whole roster, got to a Western Conference Finals, but no one's upset. It was like, hey, did we win a title? No, but we outperformed. We outperformed, got it, and look how far we got. That's what the Angels are doing. Get what we need. We still have time. Let's see what happens. Because all you have to do, get in, and anything can happen.
Here's the thing: Angels make the playoffs. I would say your odds of signing Shohei go up astronomically, but like they go up, I think, to being more likely than not that the Angels re-sign him. You make the playoffs and win a round, you're almost sure to sign him. You win the playoffs, you get in the playoffs and you go to the World Series, you're re-signing Shohei regardless. Maybe I'm making too many assumptions there, but I honestly think if the Angels made it to the World Series and lost, I'm not saying they will. I'm not even sort of predicting that right now. It would be way too early to make that kind of call. But anything can happen. And if they did make it to the World Series, there's no way Shohei would come out in the offseason and go, yeah, but we didn't win, and I want to be with a team that's going to win the World Series. Because he knows as long as he's with a team that's giving him an opportunity to play for the big games, then I think want to be.
I know they show blips of it on Twitter when they talk about like they're taught Mookie and Trout. I think Mookie has a podcast, Bleacher Report or something, but he had Trout on, and they're talking. They were making the comments of like in the World Baseball Classic where he asked him, like, is this what it's like in the postseason? Because Trout's only been there once, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, damn, I need this. And I think both of them getting that taste of a finals and having it go there, I think they're more on the same page than they ever been, where it's like we both want to get back to this, where we both get to celebrate, not one of us gets to celebrate.
I think I honestly think that there's a lot to be said for Shohei eventually coming back if the Angels can continue to keep this up. But obviously we're about to hit this rough part of the schedule. And we can talk about it as the season goes along. Yeah. But hopefully the Angels can keep it up, because if they do, then you can have this generation defining talent and maybe start making the playoffs for once, for a few years.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll see. We're still a few days ahead about this. So, like I said, Bryce is going to be out here in California. So in an absolute worst case scenario, if something bananas happens, I guess we'll do another emergency broadcast. If that comes, hopefully we're still in that ability to do so. Like I said, he'll be in California, so if worst comes to worst, we'll just be crammed in my little recording space and do something live if we have to. But I think this might be it, but we'll see what happens. We'll stay into the beat. At least I have to be plugged in, but we'll see what sort of happens with all this. There are a lot of moving pieces right now, but it's the first major domino fell. Well, two, I suppose. But I think that puts a bow on this one. Anything you want to say before we call it?
No, I think I got all my thoughts in.
All right. Well, it's going to be... We got 4 days till the 31st, and the deadline's on the 1st. So another 5 days, man. Another 5 days before everything simmers down. Weekend's probably going to be crazy, so hang on, it might be a wild ride. But until then, we'll see you guys all in the next one.
See you guys.